So I personally believe this will probably be the biggest 2025 AFL trade video that I've made so far, because I have legitimately so much to talk about right now, like pages of stuff to talk about, more pages than what you would see in the freaking, Harry Potter book series, the Diary of the Wimpy Kid book series, or more pages that you would browse when you're trying to find that perfect video on a late night on your favorite website. If you know, you know. Again, there is just so much to talk about in today's video. I'm sure maybe down the line I will have maybe a longer video, but shit, we have just been getting so much 2025 AFL trade news. It has been coming out more and more. Again, before we do get into the, massive juicy stuff right now, there was a report that just came out, before I really turned on the camera and started making this video, that a couple of moves are being finalized. Again, according to Sam McClure, again, I know everyone's favorite journalist, Tom De Koning will be officially joining St Kilda. We know this is happening. Again, this is said to be on an 8-year deal. Again, I'll be talking about more on this later in the video, but Oscar Allen has informed West Coast that he wants to be joining Brisbane in free agency as well. While it is being said that at the time of making this video, again, it might be confirmed as I'm making it, but Jack Silvani to Collingwood and James Worpel to Geelong looks like they are very much progressing, very much far down the line. So again, if one of those blokes requests a trade by the time this video coming out, again, so that's pretty much all the confirmed news that we've got so far. We're going to get into all the rumors right now, because there is a ton of stuff going around. Again, one really big one here does say that according to Michelangelo Rusci, shit, we're getting freaking reports from Ninja Turtles now. Michelangelo Rusci on the Ah Chee news broken by Kimbio yesterday. He actually said that will happen. Brisbane will not stand in his way of a move to Adelaide. Again, that was being reported on SEN South Australia. On Ah Chee being linked to the Adelaide Crows, that is absolutely insane. I mean, the reality is that any time a big team can land a big name player off another big team is always a massive win. But Ah Chee is a very good player for the Brisbane Lions, who absolutely does this thing. Again, I think one of the better role players in the AFL, if I'm being completely honest. And if you are, again, one of the best teams in the game, and you manage to take a very good player from another, one of the best teams in the game, and it's a very good role player like Ah Chee, you are absolutely laughing. Again, not only are you bringing in a very solid addition, but you're taking a very solid player from another team that is standing potentially in your way. So that is absolutely massive. Again, Brisbane have got a little bit of an interesting situation going on right now. I think it's very obvious that they need a number one key forward. Again, I think Logan Morris will be the number one key forward, but they don't want to put so much stress on him just yet. So they're, of course, going out and getting Oscar Allen, who is reportedly going to be on about $1 million a season. And I think it's very obvious that with Big O regressing and having to play his football at freaking the Frankston Dolphins, like we saw him just do, and Darcy Fort, he's pretty clunky. He's an older guy. He's actually doing very well for a bloke who hasn't played a whole lot of footy in his career, and he's like 32 or something years old. Like, Jesus Christ. Again, they're going to need a future ruckman, so they're very much looking at Sam Draper. That's obviously well in the works at the time making this video. So again, they're actually going to be paying both of those guys a decent amount of money, meaning that they might unfortunately have to bite the bullet and lose a guy like Ah Chee, which could happen to Adelaide. I mean, Adelaide, if they can get Ah Chee to the team, that'd be crazy. He's one of the better forwards in the game right now. Pretty sure if I remember right, he kicked 4 in the grand final. Like, not many players in the history of the AFL have kicked 4 goals in a grand final. Like, it's a massive accomplishment to do, and he has absolutely done it. And the reality is that Adelaide could be signing him off a contender. That is massive. Again, there's some more Ah Chee news to talk about later in the video. But yeah, Adelaide, well and truly extremely interested in him, which is, again, insane to think. But I made a video recently that some of you guys might have seen actually about North Melbourne, how they're looking to retool. For those of you who haven't though, they've been very interested in some of the players in the off-season, two in particular that I want to talk about. Again, it is being reported that North Melbourne have held preliminary interest in contracted premiership key defender Jake Lever. That's all being reported by Tom Morris. And another report here by Cal Toomey. So the two biggest reporters in the game is that North Melbourne have offered Marcus Windhager a 5-year deal. Again, initially when I first read this, I was more disappointed in North Melbourne than the time that I actually went to go see the new Star Wars movies. I just thought North Melbourne are absolutely not learning anything. You know, they brought in a bunch of older players last free agency that I don't think they should have done, like Caleb Daniel. Luke Parker, I'm still a little bit like iffy on. I actually like the Jack Darling movie's been really good for them. But I feel like them bringing in Jake Lever, another past his prime defender who is already not playing the best footy, would just be repeating history, and it would be like the Caleb Daniel situation. But then I kind of looked into it a little bit more, and then I realized that even though Jake Lever is well and truly past it, he's still a 10 times better player than what Caleb Daniel is, and he's probably going to automatically become their best key defender as soon as he'd step on the field. I mean, Toby Pink does his thing. He's not that good. I mean, he got 3 goals kicked on him by, 33-year-old Tom Lynch. Like, he's an average key defender. Then you got Charlie Comben, who was drafted as a key forward, who's had to learn to play key defense on the run, and he hasn't looked that great in recent games. And then, Griffin Logan, Aiden Core are just Griffin Logan, Aiden Core. I think that Jake Lever is still probably a better player than most of those guys at this point in time. If you can get him for cheap, he probably wants a consistent game, maybe a 2-year contract. I'd honestly look to maybe give him that. While Marcus Windhager is actually a really great move. Like, thinking about that more and more and watching Marcus Windhager more and more, I really do realize that this guy is one of the rising stars in the competition. Again, he kind of started off the year as a tagger, but has moved into a bit of an inside midfield role while chipping in on the wing. I actually believe at North Melbourne, considering they've already got enough inside, midfielders, I actually think they might use him as like a really good defensive wing, which I think they really need. It's no secret that North Melbourne are pretty much the worst defensive team in the game. Freaking, bench warmer me, Division 2 footy player, centre-half bench, the ultimate bench warmer, could probably go and kick a goal against North Melbourne's defense. They have really bad two-way runners, two-way defenders. Their backline is atrocious. I actually think that if they were to go out and draft like a really good backman, with one of their early second-round picks that they have, or maybe use both their second-round picks to trade up, get a really good backman, have Lever and Windhager, to your team, you actually might be starting to look like you're building a little bit more as you go, or at least I would think that's what they would be doing. Again, Windhager would add the much-needed defense onto their wing. He can also tag as well. Again, and Lever would be just another option down back. And if they drafted a key defender similar to like a Luke Trainer of last year, maybe a guy who falls down, I think their defense would automatically change quite a fair bit, and you could be looking at something a little bit better. So I like that move, but unfortunately for North, Marcus Windhager, they're not the only team that's actually looking at him. Again, there is a report here saying that Essendon are in a 3-club chase with North Melbourne and Melbourne to lure Marcus Windhager out of St Kilda. Windhager has had a 2-year contract offer on the table for some time, but clubs are beginning to monitor his situation, including Essendon, as they believe he can be lured out of St Kilda. He's shown his capabilities in a shutdown tagging role, but also when he's left off the leash as a pure mid, or let off the leash as a pure mid, sorry. Again, I think he'd be a very good addition to most teams. I really don't understand why Richmond aren't in the calculations for him at the moment. I actually really believe they need a 2-way wing. But it is tough to know what does Windhager want, because I think Windhager will look at North and their deal and be like, shit, 5 years, that's really good. But he might not want to be a defensive wing. He might be sitting there thinking, I want to be a really quality midfielder in the AFL. And he should be able to, I think secure that at St Kilda. The only issue is they're only offering him 2 years. Again, Melbourne, they've got a lot of blokes in there, playing in the inside. They're actually letting other guys have different opportunities now, playing Petrarca a lot more forward and whatnot. I don't know if they're the option, but I think Essendon could definitely use another inside midfielder. I mean, Merritt's played a lot of forward this year for whatever reason. Durham plays a lot of forward as well. Darcy Parish, I don't know, he does his thing. They got a couple other guys here and there in there. But I think Windhager would certainly be a player who would play a lot of inside. We really don't know. It's going to be it determines on what does Windhager want. Does he want to be an inside midfielder? If so, best bet is to probably stay at St Kilda. Or is he just, trying to secure a very good role in a team and get long years and cement himself as an AFL player? Because if he wants to do that, North Melbourne are probably the option. So again, I don't know about Essendon. To me, I don't necessarily know if they are the option. I also don't know if they'll offer as many years as what North will. I mean, North offering 5 years is insane. Like, that is an insane amount. So I think, to me, he will probably go to North if anything. But yeah, very well. He could still stay at St Kilda. St Kilda could literally just offer him an extra year and maybe that gets the deal done. I'm not too sure. Again, a report here that I also wanted to talk about was the rumour that the Western Bulldogs might be interested in Nick Vlastuin. Again, it is being said that Fox Footy has listed Nick Vlastuin as a player the Western Bulldogs should try and go after. It is worth noting that Nick would be a Hail Mary option. Again, there has been some rumours for some time that clubs have been very interested in Nick Vlastuin. I mean, unlike the AFL, who underrates Nick Vlastuin crazy, I mean, teams don't. And what I mean by that is that, I think Nick Vlastuin has truly been, in my opinion, arguably the most hard done by a player when it comes to accolades in like the history nearly of the game. I mean, Nick Vlastuin probably deserves at least 2 All-Australians, and he doesn't even have one. Like, the reality is, in 2020, that they picked Darcy Byrne-Jones to be the All-Australian backman over Nick Vlastuin. All because they didn't want Richmond to have too many backmen down there, because I think they already had Dylan Grimes and Basher Hooley. They didn't want Richmond to have all the backmen, so they decided to even it out a bit more and pick Darcy Byrne-Jones. When you think about how bad that decision was, the Darcy Byrne-Jones, just like that season, yes, he was good, but was he anywhere near as good as Nick Vlastuin? No. And then just like a year or two later, after that, Port Adelaide moved him as a forward because he was stinking it up down back. I mean, disgusting. Disgusting, and one of the most embarrassing things ever by the selectors and whatnot, that Nick Vlastuin, doesn't have an All-Australian. I don't make big calls, all the time on the channel, and I don't even know if it is a big call, because I think most people would agree that it is absolutely disgusting that Nick Vlastuin is not an All-Australian in the history of the game. Until maybe now. Again, I'm very hopeful he's an All-Australian for 2025, because he absolutely deserves it. And if he's not, I think there is completely something wrong with the system, and maybe they just have something wrong with Nick Vlastuin. Maybe it's because he has orange hair. I don't know. Maybe the selectors don't like him because he has orange hair. I can't think of whatever other reason it might be. But let's just say this again. AFL teams do not underrate Nick Vlastuin, because only a year or two ago, it was rumoured that North Melbourne were willing to offer 5 years, $5 million. I think Richmond matched that. They were obviously, I think they paid him a little bit less, but I mean, Nick Vlastuin loves Richmond. He's not going to leave Richmond. But the reality is, I wonder if Western Bulldogs, Nick Vlastuin will be 30 years old or so. I wonder if they're going to offer him a massive, 4-year deal worth slightly over $1 million to try and convince him to come. Again, do I think it's going to happen? No. Nick Vlastuin will remain a Tiger for life. At least I'm 99% sure so, and I hope so. He absolutely loves it at Richmond. Whatever deal he's going to get offered, I'm sure the Tigers are going to match it. It is not like they are hard for salary cap and money at all. So again, Nick Vlastuin will be staying a Tiger. I don't even know what the Western Bulldogs would offer to get Nick Vlastuin on a team. Like, 2 first-round picks wouldn't get it done for me. Like, I think Nick Vlastuin is that good of a player. I mean, if he was to go to the Western Bulldogs, he would completely change and revolutionise their team. Like, their backline at times looks horrific. And Nick Vlastuin is just, I mean, he's a 3-time premiership player. He's probably about to be a Richmond best and fairest now. He's going to be an All-Australian, I'm guessing, this year. Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the better backmen to do it in recent time. I just don't see him leaving, and he's still playing elite footy. So let's not talk too much about that one. Nick Vlastuin will be staying as a Richmond Tiger, and I cannot see it happening again. So more re-signings as of late. Some interesting ones to note. Job Shanahan, the Victorian, has re-signed until 2028, and Bo Allen has re-signed with West Coast until 2028 as well. Again, I don't think the Eagles were necessarily thinking that Bo Allen was going to be leaving at all. He's from WA. I don't think they ever thought that. But again, with Tasmania coming into the league, you never know. I mean, we saw GWS get some really good players out of their home states. I think Callum Ward was a Victorian. He was able to get pulled out of there by the Giants. It's happened before. But again, Job Shanahan was a massive signing in my opinion, because I think he could be a key forward for the future. I genuinely think he might be becoming, one of their number one options, if not next year already, but hopefully their solidified number one or number two option going forward. I think he could be that good of a player. I think we forget he kicked I think it was 4 or 5 goals or something like that for Essendon's VFL before he got drafted. Again, the fact that he fell so far down the draft class was insane. But again, so many stacked key forwards in that draft class. Jonty Fall, Harry Armstrong himself, Thomas Sims. We'll see how Matt Whitlock goes and if he converts, and Jack Whitlock as well. But I think Job Shanahan could very well become one of the best players in that Holland Tide draft if he continues to go. And yeah, could even be Smokey for, I think, rising star next year. Like, if he kicks 30 goals next year in this West Coast forward line, holy crap. Like, that could definitely get you the rising star. So, we'll definitely have to wait and see. But again, with the topic of the West Coast Eagles, they have been doing a ton of stuff, so far, working in this free agency and trade period and just trying to get some things done. Again, as most of you guys have probably heard about this by now, Oscar Allen will officially be joining the Brisbane Lions, which is being reported by Tom Morris. Again, Tom Morris did go on to say that Oscar Allen has told the West Coast Eagles he intends to leave as a free agent, with Brisbane his chosen destination. I'm pretty sure I just said leaves as a free Asian instead of free agent. Again, I think I kind of combined the words then, so that's my bad. But yeah, I'm recording this at 10 o'clock at night. Just worked a big shift today. Jesus Christ, I'm more tired than freaking Jeff from The Wiggle. So bear with me. Again, Jeff is also Asian. So Jesus Christ, what a connection by me there. Again, it also goes on to say his exit meeting took place on Friday, and it was then confirmed his next move are 2 key senior officials. The Eagles can match the Lions and force the trade, or accept the AFL's compensation. Again, the Eagles are not going to be matching this trade and accepting, and of course they will be accepting the AFL's compensation. They won't be trying to force a trade with Brisbane, because at the end of the day, the AFL is going to give them pick number 2 as compensation. Again, Oscar Allen is expected to be on about $1 million a season with Brisbane, which means that will actually guarantee them Band 1 compensation. And with them being last on the ladder, that Band 1 compensation will basically go alongside the pick 1 that they, of course, already have, and now will be pick 2. So again, the Eagles are sitting pretty in the draft right now. They will now have pick number 1 and pick number 2, with letting, of course, Oscar Allen go. Again, I don't think that they're obviously not going to match the trade with Brisbane, or match the signing, with Brisbane. But in whatever world they, for some reason, did decide to do that, fire everyone. Fire everyone. I mean, what the hell are Brisbane going to be able to give you that is going to compete with pick number 2? Like, isn't the whole point of letting him go to get pick number 2? Like, you could have offered him as much as what Brisbane did, and you didn't. So that's why none of this is going to happen. Any of you who are wondering at home, no, West Coast are not going to be matching this signing. They will be letting their captain leave to the Brisbane Lions, where I'm guessing, going to be picking a new captain next year. I doubt they're going to keep Liam Duggan in the role, and I'm pretty sure all of us believe it will be Liam Baker, who could have been the captain of the Richmond Football Club if he wanted, but will now be, I'm guessing, the captain of the West Coast Eagles. So that's going to be exciting. Very, very deserving for Liam Baker. Again, another big report that I wanted to talk about, though, I previously just talked about how the Adelaide Crows are, of course, interested in Ah Chee, but we are now seeing a report that is saying exclusive, West Coast are the latest club to be linked to out-of-contract Brisbane Premiership star Ah Chee as they continue to look to bolster their list. Again, that's being reported by a couple of different people. It's actually from the Talking_West Coast Eagles Instagram page. So they made this post. If you want to go check them out, go do it. They post a lot of awesome West Coast information. Didn't get paid to plug them or anything, but I report from their account, so it's pretty goddamn cool. Again, at the end of the day, as we've seen, West Coast seem to be interested in pretty much everyone and their dad. They need to absolutely boost this team and make this team much better, because in my opinion, they have a massive depth problem. Again, they did just announce, I believe they're delisting 3 or 4 players. Jaden Hunt retired. They had a couple retirements before that. So yeah, I think at this time they're moving on from about 7 players. Again, I think we'll get towards the end of the season, they will have moved on probably around 7 to 10 players. Again, just because the exit meetings have happened doesn't mean the delistings are fully confirmed. Sometimes clubs do tell players they have to wait it out. Again, Thompson Dow and Camden McIntosh were told by Richmond they have to wait it out last year. I wouldn't be surprised if West Coast probably told about 5 players they have to wait it out this year. Again, most of them will probably survive and be, re-signed, but there will probably be 1 or 2 who will get delisted. And I mean, fair enough. I would have been shocked if West Coast didn't delist and move on from at least, and retire 10 players at least this season, because with a new coach, you want your coach to have his own players in and who he wants to have. Again, look at Richmond last year. Adam Uze in his first year was mainly coaching all of Damien Hardwick's players. Again, they did a lot of changes, had like 6 retirements in the end, had like 4 delistings. They had about 10 players change from the team, and they brought in 10 new players for Adam Uze to work with, who were officially Adam Uze's players from then on. Again, Andrew McQualter is probably going to be in that similar feeling where he's like, a lot of these players I don't really like. Most of them weren't getting a game, like the guys he delisted. Like Jaden Hunt retiring was probably pretty forced, I'm not going to lie. Again, he's going to want to bring in his own players now. They're going to go through the draft. They're going to look at free agents and I think trade players to bring in. A lot of them, like Alex Davies and whatnot, would be really good options I've spoken about on the channel. And yeah, I think they're going to bring in at least 3 or 4 guys. I'd be surprised if they didn't. While Ah Chee, I mean, he'd be perfect. He would absolutely be perfect for the team. He's an elite, forward who would come in and add so much to the Eagles. The only issue is that I think Ah Chee is getting good offers as well from teams like Adelaide and Brisbane, to the point where those teams are contenders. Even though he's from WA, I think he would also like to continue to play for a contender. I feel like West Coast would have to overpay to try and keep him, and it would have to work out a trade, because I believe if they just signed him, they wouldn't get their pick 2 comp, so they would have to work out a trade to make this happen. And I don't think Brisbane would want to let him go easily. Like, they would want a good pick back for him. After all, this is a weak draft class, and Ah Chee does happen to be one of the better role players in the whole entire AFL. So I can't see Ah Chee leaving, Brisbane, unless it was to probably go to a contender, in my opinion, like Adelaide. I think Adelaide are just such an interesting team that is coming with probably good money. They've had a lot of successful free agents and trade players come through now. They've got the credentials to kind of back themselves up. While West Coast, I think if you were going to get Ah Chee, you'd have to go in with a goddamn good plan. Like, it'd have to be good money, long-term years, and you'd have to be saying, look, this is who we're getting. We're getting, Alex Davies, we're getting Sam Butler, we're getting Henry Hustwaite, we're getting this guy. You'd have to do that. And there's no guarantees at even getting any of those players. Most of them are contracted, and most of those teams probably wouldn't want to let him go. Like, at the end of the day, I talk about all these suggestions of Alex Davies maybe going and being moved on from Gold Coast. But at the end of the day, Gold Coast don't actually have to trade him. He's contracted, and they probably love him. They love the depth he adds. He's getting a consistent game as of late. They probably don't want to move him unless they have to, and they don't have to. Like, they legitimately don't have to. So, we talk about West Coast and these teams being like a lock to be looking at Alex Davies, but they might just get like the middle finger from Gold Coast telling them to piss off because they want to keep Alex Davies for themselves. So again, it is a really interesting way to think when you go about it like that. I can't see Ah Chee going to the Eagles, but if he did, it'd have to be for a lot of money. They'd have to have a plan mapped out. And if he was to go to the Eagles, I think you'd go to bed very, very nicely knowing that they must have a plan, because I don't think he'd come if they didn't have a really good plan. So I'm very interested to hear all of you guys' thoughts and opinions on this all down below, with all the latest AFL news, West Coast news, all of the above. Again, don't forget to comment your thoughts and opinions down below for the latest AFL news, AFL trade news, all of the above. Subscribe to the channel for the latest AFL with sports content. My gaming/movie channel, which will be linked down below. Go follow me on Instagram as well. All of them will be getting linked in the description down below. But yeah, as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.